Good morning. Today is day 2 of working with the story 7th grade. So yesterday, hopefully you were able to listen to the story and follow along. Hopefully you got a chance to watch the awesome trailer that the 6th graders did and you went over some vocab. If you finished early, you should have also been able to answer the questions in the margins. I'm trying to pull up the story. So you should have been able to answer these questions in the margins. If you weren't able to do that, you want to spend some time going back through the story and doing a second read where you're answering these questions. These questions allow you to dig deeper into the text. So our first question, what background information do you learn about Victor in the opening paragraph? For this, you would reread this first paragraph. I would have a highlighter or a pencil and I would underline information that we were able to gather about Victor. It doesn't come right out and tell you everything, but we do learn that he speaks 2 languages. We learn about what he was doing over the summer and a bunch of other things. And then once you've highlighted or underlined that in the margins, you would just make notes or annotations, and then you would continue to do that for the other questions in the story. So by the end of the week, your story should no longer just be the text, but we should also see your notes throughout. The next piece is the first writing response, which was a race or constructed response. So last week we talked about what a 2-point response is and that you would have questions like that on the Georgia Milestone. To know if a question is going to be a 2-point or a constructed response, you will know if there's no writer's checklist, which means they're not expecting you to write a lot, but they are expecting you to answer the question, cite evidence, and then incorporate some of your explanation, which is why we use the race strategy. So if you had a chance to start this yesterday, hopefully you also had this guide pulled up. This was handed out to you guys last week. So if you weren't using this today, if you still have this copy in the classroom, you want to pull up what race stands for so that you know how to set up your response. And then the most helpful piece is going to be the sentence starters, so you know how to introduce your evidence, explain, and then also do the recap. So looking at the response that you need to provide, we look at our question. It seems that Victor succeeds in impressing Teresa. So this is based on the ending. And they use the words "it seems" because the story doesn't come right out and tell us what's going to happen, but we can use our inference skills to kind of figure out that Teresa is impressed. You're answering what is your opinion of her, and then support your answer with evidence from the text. So when they're asking you what is your opinion of her, this is really a characterization question. So they are asking you about her character. What trait would you give Teresa based on how she responded to Victor's French and what she even asked of Victor after the fact? So I would start by thinking about, what do I think of Teresa? If I had to give her a character trait or a personality trait, what would I say? That would be your opening sentence. So you wouldn't just start with "I think." We don't need to use that at all. You don't need to say "she is." I would use her name because that's a key word from the question. I would say that Teresa is, and then I would pick whatever word you would have for her. And then the next and most important step is providing evidence. So what evidence in the story makes you think that? So maybe you think that Teresa is just not a smart girl because clearly she thinks that Victor knows French when we heard his French. He's saying Frenchy, oh, wee, wee, gee in September. So based on that, I'm thinking that Teresa's not the brightest. And that's my opinion, but I'm going to back it up with evidence. You might think, oh, Teresa is clever. She probably knows that Victor isn't the best at French, but maybe she has a crush on him. So this is her way of getting closer to him. If that's what your opinion is, then you can also find evidence in the text to support that, and you would just be writing that out. And again, use these sentence starters. Do not start your response with "according to the text" or the article states. Start it with the restating. So in this question, you would start with "Teresa is" or something like that. And then when it's time to support, I would grab one of these. When it's time to explain, I would grab one of the explain sentence starters. So that is for doing the constructed response. I'm going to stop the video here so that you guys have time to do this question, and then when you're ready for the extended writing or the narrative piece, play the next video so that we have a separate video that teaches us just about the 4-point response or the narrative response that you want to do after you do this 2-point response.